the show. We about to chop it up. Come to the show. We got some things we can talk about. Come to the show. We about to chop it up. Come to the show. We got some things we can talk about. Chop it up. Chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up. Chop it. We got some things we can talk about. Chop it up. Chop it, chop it, chop it up. Chop it up. Chop it. We got some things we can talk about.
You are now tuned in to the Chop Shop with your host, Pastor Marvin McKenstry Jr. Let's chop it up.
Good evening, Baltimore. Good evening, Baltimore. Good evening, Baltimore, and welcome to the Chop Shop. I'm your host, Pastor Marvin McKenstry. Excited as always that we have the privilege to bring you the Chop Shop. We have a fire show for you tonight. We got two guests. We're going to be talking to my little big brother, Sean Price, tonight. We're going to be talking about this youth violence as he's a youth advocate in the city, and he also works in the school system. So we're going to be talking about how interconnected those two spaces have been with a lot of this violence that's been going on. And we're going to be talking to my other little big brother, Antoine Spence, who is the visionary behind the God to You movement. Y'all, if y'all ain't up on it, you're going to have to be here when he comes on, because I'm going to need y'all to understand that the church is doing a new thing, and that new thing is fire. But before we get to any of that, I got to bring on my right hand and my left hand, my main man, Mr. Shaka D Pitts, on the ones and twos, making the magic happen. Techniques 1200s, because anything else is uncivilized. Look, I need y'all to like, love, and share this broadcast. Shaka, I got on my purple because it's Super Bowl week, and I'm still repping my Ravens. Amen. But the purple and gold got a different effect because they done gave my man LeBron some help. Boy, the trade deadline has been fire. KD gone to Phoenix with Chris Paul and the young fella, but the Lakers is on fire. Who they get? Added some shooters, D'Angelo Bailey and a few others.
Okay.
But man, they just went and got Mo Bamba. They went and got a real center because they know DeAndre Ayton in them Western Conference Finals is going to be a problem, and they needed to go get somebody that can bang with the big boy. I'm excited, man. This going down in the NBA.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up.
No, I need everybody to like, love, and share this broadcast. But look, you know the other thing we got to do, we got to pick them tonight. We got two black quarterbacks in the NFL starting for the first time in the history of the National Football League. And listen, I first want to say we praying for everybody involved in the games, good health. DeMar Hamlin didn't teach us nothing else. It taught you to put your fantasy, your favorite team, all that on the back burner and realize that those are men out there that are on that gridiron, and at any given moment, their life can change. But we got to pick them tonight. I need y'all to get in the comments. Who you picking? Chiefs, Eagles? I'm Ravens all day, but I want to know who you think gonna win this game. Sean, a football guy, when we bring him on, he gonna have a pick. But who you got, Shot?
Oh man, I got to go with the Eagles, man. Got to go with the Eagles, man.
Bro, I'm with you. I think Mahomes being banged up, and the Eagles got too much firepower. One of the weaknesses of the Chiefs is their secondary, and man, they went and got that big boy AJ Brown. He's a thug out there, wide receiver. So y'all, look, I'm with Shock. I'm going with the Eagles. But get in the comments. Man. Put who you like to win the game in the comments. Put it in there, put it in there, put it in there. But let's come on and get to these church announcements. Church announcements is always sponsored by the Men of the We Are Us Men's Movement, and we kick it off with the Stop the Beef hotline. Call or text for help. If you know somebody that's in a beef situation, the number is 443-431-3705 or 443-522-7848. No police involvement. We come in, we do everything from mediation, even assist with paying off debts if that's what it takes. If that's what it takes, we'll get in and we'll help pay a debt. But whatever it takes to see to it that life happens. I see my brother Will Hanna down in the comments, our guest from a couple of weeks back. He with the Eagles. The peace agreement is walking hand in hand with the Baltimore, with the Stop the Beef hotline. The Baltimore peace agreement is a 10-point plan that was put together by brothers who are 10 toes down in the street, brothers who are behind the walls, and brothers like myself who have been redeemed from that life to say these are 10 things that we willing to agree with. But the premise and the principle is simple. If you got to eat in the streets, you ain't got to die killing the streets. I know February makes 17 months. The Lexington Terrace Poems community has been without a murder. To God be all the glory, but we're celebrating because the principles work. All right, the Employee Baltimore show. I wasn't hosting today. I was actually at another space doing some great work to help end violence. And the Employee Baltimore show comes on Thursdays at 1 p.m. We're talking to Baltimore businesses. We bringing them on. The CIAA is coming up. We've been focusing around some of that. Y'all, it's a hot time in industry in Baltimore. And if you want to know where the happenings are, I need y'all to come on here every Thursday at the Northwest Career Center. Hundreds of people are getting jobs. Our Westside Youth Opportunity Center had employment opportunity hiring session yesterday. 55, y'all count them, 55 young people between the ages of 18 and 24 left that building with a job offer. We are definitely changing the game with the same narrative because we've been doing it for years. Sunday morning worship at Victory House Worship Center. Come on and hang out with me and the family. God is doing phenomenal things. To him be all the glory. We're a community-based church who really believes in building a safe space so that when people come in the doors, they feel the love of God, great hospitality, and know that there's somewhere where their truth will really set them free, not cause them to be bound up. So if you ain't doing nothing Sunday morning at 10 a.m., come on 1063 West Fair Street. We're in the Lord's Sanctuary. This coming Sunday, we're going to be celebrating red. Wear Red Sunday. They used to call it Red Dress Sunday. Y'all see me in a picture of my grandmother. It's going to be Red Dress Sunday / Bay Day because my grandmother's birthday is coming up on February the 15th. And y'all, we ain't going to be doing a lot of crime, but we're going to be celebrating her legacy. And we're going to be supporting American Health Month. So come on through on Sunday. Listen, I'm going to need y'all strength. Even if you don't make it through, be praying for your boy because it's going to be a rough one. Elder Mary Green Powell, who is a part of our Victory House Worship Center family, is launching her show on Trivia's Inspirational Radio. I need everybody this Saturday to tune in at 5:30 Eastern, 4:30 Central Time. In case we got any viewers that's an hour away, please tune in. The link is on the flyer. Mary is going to be, this is her launch, y'all. We want to show up and show her a lot of love. She's going to be putting it down. I love the topic. It's not your fault. Make sure that you tune in and support and get some of that good wisdom that Elder Mary is going to be putting down. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. We have organized a youth summit, a youth empowerment summit that is going to be geared towards youth and young adults of all ages. You see, it's been coordinated by our youth coordinator, Minister Chanel Powell, and our youth pastor, youth and young adult servant leader, Che-O-K Thomas, y'all. Listen, I need y'all to know that we're going to bring young people in the building and give them a voice. It's going to be facilitated by my main man, Rashad Bowtie Mills, who's not only a man of God, but he's a clinical licensed social worker. Y'all, we are bringing our young people to the table so they can talk about the things. You see it on the flyer: mental health, substance abuse, and more. Human sexuality. We're going to give them the voice to be able to talk in a safe space so that they can be able to get the help that they need. Ladies Night Out, y'all. This is something innovative that we are doing at Victory House Worship Center. That's right. They're going to put me on the hot seat. I'm going to be sitting and we're going to break apart the book of Ruth. It's not a Bible study. It's going to be a conversation. So we need all of the sisters to come out Friday, March 17th for Ladies Night. It's going to be phenomenal. It's the only way that I can describe it. It's going to be some light food there. We got a chef in the building down at Victory House Worship Center, one of our young adults, 25 years old, and her cuisine is exquisite. Make sure that you hit the registration. Listen, y'all, we're going to do all that. It ain't going to cost you a dime. It's going to be free to come to this because we want everybody that wants to come in the building and be a part of this conversation. I know traditional women's ministry, you get a woman to work with the sisters, talk to the sisters, but it's going to be me and the sisters that night, y'all. No holds barred. So bring your questions, your comments, and we're going to literally rip apart and unpack the book of Ruth in Jesus' name. All right, that's it, y'all. We done got through the church announcements, gave y'all some good information. I do want to take the opportunity to shout out and say thank you to Dr. K and Justina Pilot for another opportunity to host Today with Dr. K today. It was awesome, and we do want to continue to acknowledge living a Black History life, not a Black History month, moment, or movement, but a Black History life, and continue to acknowledge our ancestors and those who are making Black history like right now, like my guest that I got with me. I love this young brother. We are super close, super tight. We met during the Freddie Gray uprising, but you would have thought we'd known each other all our lives. We've gone into the trenches. I've had to go with this young man some places that scared the you know what out of me, trying to make sure that we can bring a peaceful resolution to some situations in Baltimore. He's a frontline soldier, man, and yet a general in the cause, because the level of influence that he has in the community is tremendous. I'm talking about the one and only, my friend and little big brother, Mr. Sean Price. Sean, thank you for being with us tonight, man.
What's going on, big bro? You already know, man. Every time you give me this opportunity, I jump all over it.
Man, it is critical to get you into this conversation. But before we jump in, and tell the people a little bit more about you and what you've done in your profession, so they understand why it is your voice that's going to be speaking on this topic tonight.
Well, first and foremost, I'm a son of Baltimore. My entire life was spent in the 17 West Baltimore. And so if there's anybody that's more qualified to speak on issues of Baltimore and what's going on with our youth, I haven't met them yet. Outside of that, that, for the last 7 years, I've been working doing conflict resolution. So that has afforded me opportunities to be inside of the schools, inside of the juvenile detention centers, to work with state's attorney's office of Baltimore County, as well as police departments of Baltimore County and Baltimore City.
All right. So listen, y'all, the qualifications are here, but Sean, I got to talk to you, man, because the thing that is troubling and the narrative that's not being pushed enough, especially, and listen, I ain't talking about by the media. I'm talking about the so-called conscious community and those who are supposed to be advocates against the violence, is the reality that we have staggering numbers around this year. The year started off with the murder of a 17-year-old young woman who was actually, many believe, hitting happenstance to the incident that was going on. Then we had the mass shooting up at Emerson High School. Two young people in a matter of weeks have been shot as a result of incidents right at Emerson High School. Our young people seem to have a bigger target on their back than they ever had coming into 2023. Sean, give us your perspective on the fact that all of this stuff is happening, and it's happening to our young people.
First and foremost, is absolutely sickening. At 36 years old, I'm a father of 5. And so the work that I had started to do that already kind of was tugging on my heartstrings is tugging even more now, because every year my kids get closer and closer to that age where they'll be out in the world by themselves. So it's always one of them things that kind of like that hit me the hardest, because it's every parent's fear of getting that phone call saying, something happened to one of your babies. I just happen to be a guy who grew up in a community where, I know a father who lost both his sons, his only sons, as well as a mother who lost both her only sons. And so when it comes to that reality, it absolutely bothers me. Sorry about all the pauses I'm taking, but
I see the emotion, bro, and I know you're a passionate guy, so I definitely understand. But let me ask you this: what do you think is at the core of some of what we're seeing in our young people, or the violence touching our young people?
It's definitely a heart issue. I'm not talking about health. I'm not talking about health. I'm not talking about nothing that got to do with the vaccine. When I say it's a heart issue, I'm talking about literally the essence of who we are as people starts right there in our heart. If you're a person that has a heart that's after money, that's after lust, that's after temporary pleasures, then everything that you do in your life is going to reflect that. And so what you're saying out here in Baltimore City is you're seeing a lot of young people that's gravitating towards, that life of getting money, that's gravitating toward being, social media superstars, that's gravitating toward being strippers and being hustlers. And so that lifestyle in itself is just a pathway that's taking us straight toward health. And so when you see when you see like shootings and killings every single day, that's just a consequence of the pursuits that these young people is chasing.
Well, when we talk about it, I had the pleasure of hosting Today with Dr. K on 88.9, and I was talking to Brother Aki, and we were having a conversation, and he was talking about black imagery, and I said to him, I said, well, man, I got to push back a little bit on that, because at the top of every institution, Baltimore Public Schools, City Hall, the police department, you see images of black people. Where do you believe the disconnect between the fact that we have so much black leadership and it doesn't seem to be having that level of change or impact on the black community, specifically around violence?
I think it's an issue, and it's a topic of proximity. I mean, you see people like, we have a black mayor now, we have a black governor, and it's people like yourself, big bro, that's in position of leaderships, but it seems like those people in of themselves aren't reachable. So when you think about the average kid, like the closest role model, the closest black figure that they have to look up to, if it's not in their home, it's outside on the corners. And so when they looking up to the dude that got all the money on Instagram, or the dude that got 7 blocks around his neighborhood, then that's what they tend to look up to.
One of the things that we're seeing in the community is where my generation, and maybe even your generation, might have put our fist up and handled some of this stuff. A lot of it is being handled with guns, which is a reflection on the gross increase in the number of guns that are in the community. I remember being young, and it may be a little different because you're a little younger than me, but I remember being young in the neighborhood. I knew who had a gun because it wasn't common that everybody had a gun. Man, when you start hearing about 15, 16, 17, 13, 14, 9 years old with a gun, what is really going on that's giving access to our community to all these guns?
It's a part of the culture. It's a part of the culture. When you think about the elements that's actually raising our kids, you gotta zero in on the music. You gotta zero in on the entertainment, whether that be a TV movie or just social media itself. The culture is kind of making toting a gun like a necessity. When you keep hearing lyrics that's talking about ops and about holding it down and about blowing this person and blowing that person, it's a repetitive influence that these kids is hearing on a day-to-day basis. And so that's what's driving them to really feel like having that gun is like it's like a rite of passage. It's something that you have to have because the music, the TV, all the different entertainment forms is showing these kids that it's better to have it on you than to not have it at all.
That's one of the things, because I've been literally dealing with guys who are not a part of the street element, but are getting in trouble for carrying unregistered firearms because there's an element of these young people who believe just to compete, just to be safe, just to make sure that you're not the next victim or target, I gotta have one, but not going through the proper procedures to get one. What do you think is really going on? Or what would you say to those brothers? Because they literally are high school graduates, never been in trouble, but now catching a gun charge and can't get the jobs and the opportunities that they want because Baltimore City and the courts ain't playing about no guns.
Absolutely. Again, it goes back to the fact that, having a gun is glorified. And also you got to think about, the education part when it comes to, what a person knows as far as like getting gun licenses, where to go, who to talk to, how to acquire it. It's a certain level of ignorance that, sometimes as black men and as young people that we have, that kind of deters us from doing things the right way. And so it becomes a thing where, we need this now and we got to get this like right away. And so 9 times out of 10, the only way to really get that is the illegal way, because everybody knows somebody that you can call up in order to get a gun if you need one, but not everybody know where to go in order to go through the process to do it the right way.
When you start talking about it, Baltimore and Maryland has some of the most stringent gun laws, right? And I want to get your perspective on this because being a licensed firearm owner and somebody that trains people and licenses people to carry, here we have the Democratic-led government who are now looking to put stiffer restrictions against legal gun owners in an attempt to refute the fact that the governor said more law-abiding citizens should be able to carry guns. You being yourself a licensed, well, I'm gonna put all your business out there.
Yeah.
But how does that make you feel as somebody who went through Maryland's stringent process to be able to legally handle a firearm? And yet, do you believe, I'm gonna ask you this too, do you believe that further regulating my gun helps the illegal activity?
Absolutely not. But I mean, if anybody with two eyes can see what's going on. You see, the people who do it the right way, they want to make it harder. They want to make it harder for you to acquire your license like that. But at the same time, they upping the ante on the people who do it illegally by giving you these mandatory minimums if you get caught with an illegal gun. So if you ask me, it's all one big setup, man. And the system is constantly trying to funnel us toward, that prison industry, because that's where majority of the money is made. So it's
no, you're not going to dance around this, because I know you one that's not going to ascribe to partisanship when it comes down to this. We have a Democratic-led state house that's literally looking to restrict legal gun owners when there's been. Now, this is my thing. You can't put it on the ghost gun companies and then come after the legal gun owner at the same time. I need you to talk to me about what's real about this, because to me, this is nonsensical.
Well, first and foremost, as a person that's kind of like in that field and on that front line, it's impossible for them to stop ghost guns. I'm just going to be real with you. It's so many backdoor ways to get your hands on a gun in Baltimore City, and it's a pointless battle. It's a pointless battle. You can never stop that underbelly of illegal guns, and so that's why they focus on the variables that they can control, which is legal gun owners. So if you ask me, it's a strategy that Democrats has always taken. It's just for whatever reason, as Black people, we have this flawed notion into thinking that Democrats is pro-Black. But the reality is that our entire lives that we've been Democrats, it's always been law after law that has directly worked against us.
Man, you on Live with the Chop Shop. We come to you every Thursday, 6 p.m. We talking to my little big brother, my friend, a man who's major in the community in Baltimore and our school system and working with young people. And I want to kind of shift the tone of the conversation to you, Sean. I want you to have the conversation with the people as though you're talking to the young men that you encounter daily in your job and the ones that you encounter in the street. What conversation do you have for those who have not yet been pulled into the mix as it pertains to the cycle of violence that's happening in Baltimore?
Man, the conversation with me always starts at life. It's like I want to see all the young brothers that I come in contact with, all the young brothers that I know in Baltimore City. I want to see y'all live, man. And it's such a powerful thing to me to have opportunities to be constantly engaging with the youth, because I'm like I said, I'm 36, and so my young life is not that far away. But the one thing that I can honestly say is, like, just the biggest thing in the world to me is understanding what those boys don't have. And it goes back to my childhood. I didn't have a father figure in the home, and that tended to be the place where when we're not outside, we spend the most time. And so all the things that I yearn for, all the advice that I might have been needing or looking for when I was young, I try to be that. I try to be that for them. And at the same time, you gotta be real with them, man. Like you can't be a person that try to talk that talk in order to inspire them or gain access to conversation with them or gain access to having a relationship with them. They will see you coming from a mile away. So you gotta be real, man, and you gotta give them an opportunity to choose you or not choose you, because there's a lot of us that think that we helping the situation by being active and by trying to engage the youth. But at the same time, not everybody is called to operate in that capacity. So if you one of those guys that they just can't relate to, or you one of those guys that they just not letting in, don't be offended by that. Don't keep trying to gain access to their trust. Don't keep trying to gain access into having conversation with these kids and being in their life. Accept what your role is and just apply yourself accordingly. I've been doing it for about 9 years. And the one thing that I realized is that you're not going to reach everybody. I used to be one of those guys who prided myself on trying to save the world. And the reality is it's an impossibility. But when I reduced that number to 1 and being focused on just saving one kid at a time, that's when I started to grow more. That's when I started to learn more. That's when the task of being a guy to stand in a gap became a lot smaller and a lot more manageable. People who got a big heart, people who want to be impactful and who want to work toward having a legacy with these kids, we tend to overload ourselves. We tend to put so much on ourselves that at times it becomes unbearable. You really gotta learn load management, and you really gotta learn how to be more effective without being as active. And don't promise these kids things that you can't deliver on, because once you guarantee or you promise a kid something and you don't deliver and you don't show up, you just close that door for not only yourself but any person that's coming behind you that's trying to do right by those kids. So know who you are as a person. Know what your assignment is from God and operate within your assignment. Don't try to be more than what you know you can be. Some people can wear multiple hats. Other people are specialists. They're just the best at doing that one thing. Don't take offense. Don't take offense to that. Perfect your craft, just like you. Like I'm a football guy. Just like you would spend time on the field, doing them drills, putting that work in the weight room to be the best running back, to be the best quarterback. Find your avenue, find your talent and your gift when it comes to these kids, and become a specialist in whatever that gift is.
We on live with the Chop Shop. We come to you every Thursday at 6 p.m. Sean Price, you have been a gem on here, brother. Our next segment is coming up. But before we let you go, I need you to just give some wisdom to the people in Baltimore as it pertains to this violence. Where should we be praying? What should we be saying? What should we be doing?
Like I said earlier, man, it all starts with your heart. Whoever you decide that you want to be in your heart is going to be the person that you're going to manifest to the world. So if you got devils that you fighting within yourself, man, don't be too prideful to take care of those, man. Talk to God. Talk to Big Brother Marvin, man. Talk to, any person that you will look at as a spiritual advisor, as one of those guys that is already, on that platform with that connection with God, and reach out to them, man. Because your heart and all the things that you decide that you want, that's inside your heart, is going to be ultimately who you become.
We thank you for joining us today, man. Mr. Sean Price, West Baltimore's own 217's finest, Man, listen, I love you and I thank God for everything that you do, have done, and continue to do concerning young people in Baltimore, man. I'm looking out for what's next in this next season of your life, this next space of what great work God has called you to and what you're going to be doing moving forward. Look, we got this youth summit. I'm going to reach out to you. It's going to be happening on the 18th. I'm going to need you to come
I was
through,
already on it when I saw it.
I'm going to need you to come through, brother. Yeah, I got some youngins down there that's coming in from straight outside, man.
Already,
I thank
bro.
God that he's bringing people from outside, not the people from inside. They ain't transferring from one church to my church. They
For
coming
sure.
in off these streets, man. And we want to make sure that we build what's necessary in order for them to be safe and to be able to heal and to grow to what God has called them to.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us, man.
Love you, bro.
Love you too, man. All right. Listen, we are waiting for our next guest to log in. I want y'all to get in the comments. Y'all, some of y'all been in the comments. We got a nice audience built on here right now. I want y'all to get in the comments. Type somebody's name who you want to be a part of this conversation. Type somebody's name so that they can get an alert, a notification that they need to be on here. This next segment is going to be fire. I'm trying to wait for him to log in. This young man has long been an innovator as it pertains to what we call evangelism. Hallelujah, big word, evangelism. How the word goes out to the people. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man. He's been chastised and chastened and a whole bunch of other stuff because some people believe that what God has given him a lot of times push the wire. Well, nothing pushes the wire the way this last and most recent experience that he has put together. Two of my brothers, Bishop Brian Martin and Bishop Claiborne Burston, came together with him, man, and they put this thing together and they did it real big, y'all. I'm talking about something that really warms my heart as a person who's about the community and who is looking to see evangelism where we go ye therefore, get out of the four walls of the church. Let me reach out to him and try to see if he's having any trouble logging in. And while we're doing that, y'all, we got a few big opportunities coming up in the Mayor's Office of Employment Development. On Monday, I believe it's Monday the 13th, we have a huge job fair happening. MedStar. Okay, he having some trouble logging in. Shock, what should he be using? Safari? What browser should he be using? I'm talking to my producer, y'all. We don't try to hide it. We ain't slick around here. We just call it what it is. We got a huge job fair happening. MedStar, my man Darrell the Goat. Darrell the Goat Falls. That's right. I called him the Goat. Y'all know, everybody know me, Mr. Jobs, and all that good stuff is cool. But listen, we got to pay homage to those that have taught us and brought us along. And Mr. Darrell Falls is the guru. When it comes down to putting together events that get a lot of people hired at one time, listen, this brother is the GOAT. He's the greatest of all times, and I respect him. And he's talked to MedStar and got MedStar to pull all of their events. Shot, can we get the MOED page up in the production room? Because I believe that there's some stuff on there. Hey, cousin, my cousin Barbara on here. I believe that there's some flyers and that sort of thing. Y'all, listen, we got to stay up on what's happening in MOED because right now MOED is on fire. I got a staff person that works under me up in the Mondawmin Center getting jobs. This man has gotten 300 jobs, and we're nowhere near the end of the fiscal year. Every Thursday, there's an employer that's in the building. Every Thursday, there's an employer that's in the building, and those employers are coming in and they're hiring on the spot. My brother is here. I'm excited about it. Look, I've been trying to get this man to come over here and talk to me for a long time. The last time I reached out to him and I said, man, I need to get you on here. We can close that. I was talking about the Facebook page, bro. We can close that because our guest is here. The last time I reached out to him, I say, man, I want to talk to pastor. He said, I ain't no pastor, but I got him tonight and I'm excited. Listen, long time been an innovator and how evangelism is done, willing to push every wire for the sake of a soul. I don't even know if he knows that he has my respect the way that he has my respect, because Some of us are just built different. When people look at what I do in the streets of Baltimore, and I look at what this man has been able to do, merging that glamorous world of entertainment and being able to use his platform to take Christ to people, because I know his soul, he's genuine and legit. I really have a lot of admiration for this brother. He is one of the thugs, thinkers, and theologians. I'm still waiting for that show to come back because that thing was fire. I used to tune in midday and make sure I caught them guys. But he is the one and only longtime innovator, been doing it for over 20-something years. Talking about Mr. Antoine Spence, bro. Welcome to the show, man.
What's up, man? How you feel?
Man, I feel good, man. I finally was able to trick you into coming on here with me, man. How you been, brother?
Man, I'm good, man. All is well.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, look, you ain't hear me because you was trying to get on, but I told him, I said, man, you have always been an innovator. I remember coming home from prison and coming to church trying to get a record deal because I thought I was going to get rich. I ain't care nothing about Jesus or being saved. And you was out here with new praise a long time ago. I will go where you lead me, man. Yeah. Doing it way back then. So you're not new to this, being a trendsetter and doing things, and your heart towards evangelism and taking God to people who have been traditionally told that God ain't for them, man. I just want to tell you, it's something that I admire. But God to you, man, you took it to another level with that one. First of all, tell the people a little bit about yourself and the vision behind God to you.
I mean, I'm a Baltimore native. Everybody know I'm everybody's brother, cousin, homeboy. I'm born and raised Baltimore. You know, I've been in church all my life. I say all the time, I'm a church boy at heart. Just got a little bit of the street dust on me. You know what I mean? And I'm happy to be who I am. And I'm in my mind, man, I look at it like I've been born and raised here. I know the culture. I understand how things move and how things work. In the same token, I understand both sides. I understand the church world and I understand the street side. And that's a blessing. And that's really, everybody can't do it. I heard you say it earlier. Like, it's a certain grace you got to have on your life to be able to walk this line like we walk it. And I have a heart for God, but I have a heart for people. Then I also have a heart for making sure people understand the God that we serve. You know what I mean? And so the God to you thing came up. I've been doing gospel music for over, I did that for 20 years. That was my heart, my passion. I know I was called to do that. So I did that with New Praise for 20 years. And then that's how I really built my connection in the church world, by knowing all the pastors and all the singers and everybody in that side. But then, like I had a record deal. So of course, back then when we was getting record deals, that stuff was funded by street money. You know, that stuff was coming from the street.
People don't know, bro.
I mean, they can say what they want. I keep it a buck with you. I had a drug dealer supporting, you know what I mean, who said, I believe in your ministry. And I was like, whoa.
Wealth of the wicked stored up for the righteous, man. Come on, they better know the word.
They better know it. It was stored up for us. So he said he had some money. I had the vision. I knew God. I had the music. And he like, man, I'll put the money up. I want to see you make it. So he put the money up and got me rolling. And next thing you know, it taught me the music industry. And I got into it and started putting out other artists and then managing. And, you know, the ball rolled from there. And then now to present day, I am now a partner with Tion Everidge down at Remix Bar and Grill. That's been for like the last 4 months. Brought me in 4 months ago. Said, man, I need you to partner with me and do this. Make this restaurant pop. And I say all the time, it's not me. It's God. It's a God factor. Like, I done did restaurants before. You know me, man. I done did a lot of stuff in this town. Like, I sat back and looked at it, like, and I don't know.
Big boxing event.
Boxing, like, I mean, I done touched the boxing world. I done got into the music world. I done got, of course, the church world. Of course, now the restaurant world. I did it like twice now. So now I'm here. You know, Tion's vision was like, yo, I'm going to bring you in because you have a connection to the church world and to the street world, but I want to have all of it in my bar. And I'm like, that's me. Like, that's what I want. I need to be able to let the streets know who God is, the God that I serve. I don't want the collars and I don't want that's good. Listen, no knock. I have this argument with my homeboys all the time. The collars and the garb and the miters and all that stuff, I know about all of it. But right now, that's not the calling for my life. My calling is to touch them with a hoodie on and some Cartiers and some Jordans. That's how they going to talk. And that's how they want me to talk to them. Be comfortable, no judgment zone. So if that's the way we got to be, that's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to get them to come in, fine with me. So that's just who I am naturally. And what it does is it makes them comfortable to be able to have a conversation about God. Because ain't no judgment. I ain't no better than you. Like, I still got my struggles. I still got the stuff going on in my life that I need to make. I'm still a work in progress. but still in that lane, there is a God that I serve that's perfect. I'm not perfect, but he is. So let me just introduce you to him. That's all I'm supposed to do. Bible say one water, the one planteth, the other water. It's God's job to do the rest. I just got to do my part. Let me plant the seed and let you know that this God I serve does not judge. He looks at your heart. So the God to You thing came about because I was sitting in a restaurant and we was talking about how to bring my live music side of me into the bar side. Like, yo, how can we do live music? But we want to do a Christian thing. I said, how about we just do a first Sunday, like soulful Sunday type thing? And I'm sitting around the table. So I just, me, I call my guys like, yo, I got this idea. I call Brian Martin. I call Clay, Overseer Clay and Bishop Brian. They my guys, known them for years. I'm like, yo, I got this idea that I want to do where we just going to bring God to you. That's what I said. They was like, say it again. And we get to talking. They're like, and I'm like, yo, I hear it. I hear it musically. So I'm like, I just hear it as like a line. Like, we just going to bring God to you. They're like, yo, I like it.
Yeah,
like,
that's fire.
They're like, how can we? And then we just start sitting around the table. We met. The next thing you know, I'm like, yo, let's just try it. Let's just take over the bar. Why not go to where they are? Everybody gonna go to brunch. Let's keep it a buck. They may miss church for brunch. So since we know that's, listen, let's keep it a buck. I mean, that's we fighting against this culture, and I keep telling the pastors, like, stop fighting them. Like they're gonna win because you need them to come to have service. So if you need them to come to have service, why not bring it to them? They're going to go to brunch. All the girlfriends, the homeboys, they go watch the game. Y'all trying to get out of service early, trying to rush your service so they can get to watch the rain. I'm going to take it to them. I'm going to take the whole band, the singers, everything, the word, and we're going to take over the bar. Why not?
We would have to be blind to see that God is doing a new thing. And we always have this conversation of methodology changing, but not messaging changing. And like I said, knowing your heart for just evangelism, man. I've known you for such a long time, and I've watched you bear the brunt of that fight where people who look at you and they want to W things like radical, but don't realize that that's a real evangelistic call. It's an apostolic call too, because it takes you to really be a father and nurturer to see it that way. Talk to us a little bit about what it's been like to have to bear the weight of those who don't see it the way you see it, but yet come at you and don't really understand that that's what God called you to do.
Yeah, I mean, the Chop Shop is perfect for this, man. It's good that you got me on here because we can talk real. We can keep it, straight, unadulterated, straight facts. We're just gonna say what it is. But it's been rough because people, when they don't when it's unfamiliar, they tend to deem it something that it's not. So when you're not in the four walls and you're called pastor and you don't have adjutants and you don't have First Sunday, anything outside of that to them in the church world is weird. It's like, how can you? I don't understand. How are you? No, this is the way that it works now. This is a call that I have. Like, I don't mind. I'm so bold in it and comfortable in it. I don't even mind when they judge it because they don't understand it. And I always say, know your grace. I tell everybody, know your grace. Walk in what you're called to walk in. Because you're not certain pastors and preachers, you can't go hang out on and down the hill. You don't do it. Don't do it with your Jerry curl and your slippery herbs. Don't do it. It's not going to work. Take your suit off. Take your 18-button suit off and your high collar shirt. Take it off. Okay? It's dead. Go down there with that on, you getting joked, and they not listening to nothing you got to say. So I'm trying to get them to know your grace. Like, I can't go into a apostolic culture with just the Midas and talk to them. That's not what they want to hear. They want to hear the word of God, break it down, exegete the scripture. I got it.
Do me a favor though, bro, because you putting down fire tonight. You on live with the Chop Shop. Break down the difference between knowing your grace and trying to be relevant.
Okay, good. That's an amazing question. First of all, see, here's the difference, and this is where the spiritual side of us church guys kicks in, because you don't have to lose the essence of who you are and who God is trying to be relevant. Because you can lose things in trying to be something for the moment. That's what they talk about, this cancel culture and all this other stuff, like trying to fit into what's going on right now. That's trendy, and trends change, and they go away and they come back. You don't want to just be trying to be relevant for the moment. There is a grace on your life that you have to tap into to know that it's a longevity factor. It's not for me to be culture-based and trying to meet the moment. I am who I am because I know the grace that's on me to where I should and should not go. That's the difference in grace and saying, oh, I'm just trying to make myself, let me see how I can dress now or talk now to fit the moment of the culture. No, you're trying to make yourself something. If you understand the essence of who you are, and that's where it goes into identity. People don't really know who they are. Like, people don't really know. And that's where it's really starting. Everything in this struggle in life is about your identity. Do you know who you really are and who God has called you to be? That's why we have adjutants starting churches and they've never been called to preach. See, this is why we have all these unsolicited churches and these church they just up and they go online and buy a certificate and now they're an apostle, but they never went through the rankings of being a minister, an elder, a district elder, overseer. They never went through all that. See, they just want to buy a piece of paper, have no covering, and just be out here wilding. That's why we have the craziness going on, because they don't have nobody to be accountable to. But if you at least know that in your grace, I am only able to operate and I won't go outside of it, then we won't have so many accidents outside these lanes.
Let me ask you this, bro. You have two homies, and I know that y'all are friends because I remember coming home from jail. You was doing New Praise. Clay was playing and Manhattan Choir was flying, and Bishop Brian Martin was the person that everybody was trying to get to MC their Joy Night. I go all the way back to that. I wasn't thinking about being no pastor. I was trying to get signed. I'm trying to tell y'all what it was. I grew up in the church, but I ain't know nothing about confessing Christ for myself. I just came home. How much did it mean, or does it mean, to have that grace on your life and some men of God that trust you to walk with you in it?
I mean, that's crazy, because what they had to watch, and I think Clay was very instrumental in saying something to me Sunday morning. They had to watch me find myself. And when your friends allow you to find yourself, that's how you know you got friends. Because you're going to make so many mistakes in finding yourself. Because you're going to try so many different things that you don't know what's going to work and what's not going to work. You're going to throw something to the wall and hope it sticks. And if it don't stick, you on to the next thing. So for them to be able to have a patience to say, nah, we know he called and we know he got something on him, so we're just going to ride it out until he get there. That's important.
We lost our guest for a second, y'all. We're going to try to get him queued back up. We got him back, Shot.
Did it come back? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you back, yeah.
They literally was like, bro, like we got you. Like we gonna watch you go through this, and they never judged me. That was the important factor. They never said, oh, that ain't what we see as church, or that ain't what we see. They're like, no, we're gonna let you go through it. We're gonna let you, fight through what you're trying to find, and when you find it, we're gonna be right there when you find it. So that was important to have Brian, Clay, Leroy Diet, guys like that around me who said, nah, you good with us. Like, ain't no, we gonna keep preaching. We do this thing. Because I did the pastoring thing.
Well, I was getting ready to say, let's talk about it, because there's a lot of people on here hear you talking about where you are. But I remember back when you pastored, I remember when you were youth pastor. Talk to the people about that part of it, though, because we talking about where you are now, and hopefully we haven't lost them again. But you on Live with the Chop Shop. We come to you every Thursday at 6 p.m. You talking to us about where you are now and the grace you walking in, but talking to us about as transparent as you can be about the days when you literally tried to do it the institutionalized way, and be as transparent as you can with us, bro, to what it really took to get here, and be able to walk in the grace that God has on your life.
See, I think the problem is, because I was a church boy, I only seen pastoring one way. So I grew up in the church, and all I knew was pastoring meant you had to have on a collar, you had to go find a building, brick and mortar, you had to have people follow you, and that's how you started the church, and that's how you were, quote unquote, a pastor. So when you grow up in that, all you see is that, so then you start modeling yourself after that. But in the whole time, that's not the only way to bring people to Christ. So me going through that as a kid, I went from a drummer, from my uncle, my grandmother's a pastor, my grandfather's a pastor, my uncle's an apostle, my aunt's a pastor in Charlotte, my father was his head deacon at his church. That's all I knew around me on the Spence side of my family. So I just seen that. So I tried to mirror what I saw in my uncle's father, grandfather, and that was fine, because they were great businessmen and they were great churchmen. So I got all of that, but I mirrored them instead of finding out who I was. So I'm like, okay, so to be a pastor, I got to go find a church. I got to have a people. So that's what I did. I'm like, okay, when God was saying there's a call in your life to bring people, but not the traditional way. But because I thought it was uncomfortable and foreign to them, They didn't even know when I brought to them the vision of me pastoring. It wasn't to pastor in the four walls, but because that's all they understood, that's what they put me in that box. They're like, okay, so we're gonna have an installation service, and now we're gonna bring some people. So that's what they did. I'm like, that ain't really the way God giving it to me. I see this as a movement, because I really called the church the Safe House Movement, but they called it a church because they didn't know what else to call it. So when people don't know what to call it, they call it the familiar. And that was for them church. So it got deemed something that it never was. So that's me fighting now to answer my grace. That's me now fighting, trying to figure out what my grace is. And I'm like, nah, bro, I ain't supposed to be starting. I ain't supposed to be behind no pulpit with no people following me and having no adjutants and deacons. And that ain't what this is. This is a movement. This is, I can take this to LA. I can take this to Georgia. I can take this to New York. I can just move around and just let people see that it ain't corny to be a God guy. It ain't corny. Like, to be God's guy, it ain't corny. But we don't put so much cornstarch on it.
Self-inflicted cornstarch.
We don't put cornstarch on God, and now it's a McMuffin. It's something stupid. And they laughed at it like, that look corny. I don't want to be a part of that. So it's not corny to be a God guy, but they got to see it. So I started fighting my grace. So I pastored for a while, and here's the crazy thing: the church was successful. It wasn't like I had no people. I had people. I had a band, singers, people coming every week, and I just was like, this is not what he called me to do. I've been a pastor, an interim pastor in other churches. I've been a youth pastor for one of the biggest churches in Glen Burnie with Pastor Craig Coates. Like, running the whole youth department was 150 youth strong, 200 strong. Like, I've done all of those things, and I still love those things in my heart. But for my grace is God to you. My grace is to be out here in these bars and letting them see it ain't corny to be a God guy. I love God, and it's okay to be that type of guy.
When you look at the where we are and what God has graced you to do you see that being mutually exclusive, two separate lanes, or do you see it being a bridge that will literally allow more people to come to the institution? Because we do have some institutions that are doing it different.
I agree. Now the great statement about that is it's a bridge. It's a bridge because we allow it to be. Like, we have some churches I can send them people to when they leave the bar and they're going to feel comfortable. The problem has been for so many years that the people who are leaving, here's what I'm hearing. This is what started pricked my heart to do something different. I started hearing people say stuff like, man, I'm not going to church because of this and because of that. And I've been, to quote the church hurt thing. And then I've been through so much and I see the same stuff in church. I start hearing all that stuff. Then I start having conversations. I'm like, so is it just that y'all are not comfortable just going to the church walls? Now, here's the blessing. When I realized that some of them wasn't and some of them was, I gave them a safe space for all of them to come. But in the same token, some of them left Sunday from leaving, we just going to bring God to you, and went and said, I want to go to Brian Mark Church, or I want to go to Mission Life, Claiborne Church, because they felt like that was a good word and a good atmosphere. So it did become a bridge. But I tell people all the time, we can't go on without playing. Go and let God do what he's going to do. I didn't know what was going to happen Sunday. I just knew I wanted to have all of us come together. We had no program. Wasn't no who going to go first, who going to go second, who going to preach. We did none of that. We just came in the room and said, well, I guess Clay and them here. I'm like, Clay, y'all go in and go sing a couple songs. Then, Brian came in late. We like, okay, be here. I'm going to do a little bit of DJing with DJ High Def. And then it just started flowing, and it turned into something. It morphed into something huge. You know what I'm saying? So it literally now has become a thing because we let God make the plan. We didn't make the plan. We so used to having plans and putting together programs and how it's going to flow. No, however you want to do, flow.
Man, you on Live with the Chop Shop. We here with my friend and my brother, Antoine Spence, a brother who has long, for 20-something years, been an innovator in the space of Christianity, and he's evangelism opportunities that are being created by the God to You movement is something that I believe is long overdue. There's an element of courage. As we coming down the stretch, we got about 2 or 3 minutes left. There's an element of courage that it takes to literally be able to go and to step out and to walk in this grace. Talk to us about that, literally shattering the glass ceiling and being able to stand firm and courageous in what God called you to do.
I mean, you got to just you gotta first of all know your identity. You gotta first of all know who you are. When you know who you are, you move better and you move safe. So once I found out who I was totally and understood who I was, then now there is no ceiling to what God can do. So this is where these innovative ideas come from. They come from him, and you got to be bold once you hear him say it. Once I hear him say it, you can't go out there half like, I don't really know. No, I heard him say it. I just did it. Let it become what it's going to become. If you put your trust in God and let him do it, it'll work. He will make provision for the vision. I say it all the time. He will make provision for the vision. He'll provide an idea, a moment, a funding, anything, if you allow him to do it. So I tell everybody now, find your grace. Find out who you are. Like, and once you know your identity, know your grace and operate in it boldly. That's it.
Wow. Man, I want to thank you for being a part of the show tonight, man. Like I said before, if I never got the opportunity to tell you, I have great respect for you, man. We've talked offline about things on many occasions, but know that I'm praying for you because I have a heart for people who need Christ brought to them. I walk the streets of Baltimore and I go in the hood and do what I do because I know that I tell people all the time, man, I pastor people that may never step foot in my church. Yep. And I ain't that, I remember growing up and people saying, well, their blood ain't on my hands if they don't come. No, I pastor some folks that may never come in my church. I'm available to them. I eulogize they dead. I pray over they living. I do all of it because the opportunity to lead them ain't about whether they come in the building or not, man. And I thank God for you. I believe that this is a innovation, and I'm grateful that you honest. You got integrity, because Pastor so-and-so such and such, if it ain't your grace, don't you pull up at the bar next week.
Don't do it. I'm trying to tell you.
you meet it. The only thing you beat and touched is old Jack Daniels, and we'll watch you.
You're going to see Casamigo and Don Julio. That's who you're going to meet.
We don't want you to go down that path, but man, look, we got to keep talking, brother. I definitely want to know when you're doing the next one, so I can definitely just come through and experience it. I ain't looking for a platform. You know that ain't me, but I want to come through, experience it, and you will have the support of my prayers. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you, man. Shout out to you and the Chop Shop, man. I appreciate you having me on. You're doing big things, man. I pray many blessings in your future. I pray that everything works out for you. That's at your hands. Shout out to my man, Antoine Burton. That We Are Us movement y'all got going on is dope. Man, y'all know y'all grace and y'all found it, man. I appreciate y'all.
That's awesome. Thank you for being with us tonight. Well, y'all, I listen, two great guests, Brother Sean Price from the 1-7. Oh, you still here, Brody? Brother Sean Price from the 1-7 is still hanging out with us. You muted. I can't hear you.
He was fire, bro. Like,
hey,
look, he said, bring God to you. Bring God to you. That's what he did, because I felt everything he said.
Imagine, and listen, these the guys that literally will turn a open gym into an evangelism opportunity. I ain't telling you no lie, man. And that's where we need to be with it, man. There's so many people that are frustrated with the church. They really need to see I'm loved in my community because I ain't never made my love predicated on whether you come in my church or not. Never made my love, my support, my resources, my availability about whether you come in the building. So big ups to them brothers, man. And I'm looking for it because I'm declaring now that it's going to the gyms, it's going to the shopping mall, it's going to the bar, it's going wherever God see fit for it to go, that it go. And all of y'all that got something to say about it, get yourself some help. Amen.
Yes, indeed. Bro had the recipe. You got it too.
Absolutely. I gotta always thank my right hand and my left hand, my main man, Mr. Shaka Pitts on the 1s and 2s, making the magic happen. Man, I'm encouraged when I do this. People don't know I sit down with guests and I talk to them, and I'm encouraged by what they tell me because Sean Price lets me know that in spite of what's going on, he's still out here, boots on the ground. Antoine Spence lets me know that in spite of what's going on, there's somebody out here still with a heart for souls is going into the places. And then there is you that get in the comments. You talk to us every week. I always say if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around to hear it, does it make a sound? Of course it does. But y'all showed up tonight. Miss Keita Brown and everybody else is here. Thank you so much for riding with the Chop Shop. As always, I say in closing, trust God. Trust the Lord with all your heart, lean not to your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Be the change you want to see. That's Mr. 1-7. I'm Mr. 23/01, West Side certified. I'm a B. You can always find me Friday at 6 o'clock in the 100 block of Freebout Avenue with the
No doubt.
That's right. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't got no business, but I'm out there available to the people. And above and beyond anything else, always remember that we can be more. I love you, Baltimore.